Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Let's get after it.
Just found out something extremely disturbing from one of Beyonce's songs called Alien Superstar. Now, the intro of this song is actually a sample, but just listen to what it says. It says, "Please, do not be alarmed. Remain calm. Do not attempt to leave the dance floor. The DJ booth is conducting a troubleshoot test of the entire system. Somehow, while the party was in progress, an unidentified frequency has been existing in the system for some time. And while many of you have been made too brainwashed to comprehend, this frequency is and has become a threat to our society as we know it. This frequency has been used by a secret society in conjunction with Lucifer to lure and prey on innocent partygoers with hypnotism, synchroprism, tricknology, lies, scandal, and pornography. While the party is still in progress, we will keep you updated on our current status." This is where it gets even more weird. Beyonce actually uses hypnosis in her concerts. I mean, look at this one in particular. Her fans were looking at this visual for over a minute with frequencies playing, and then they were flashed words like, "Whoever controls the media controls the mind control." I mean, and then this concert showed a portal with legs spread around it. She's literally telling us in her music and in her concerts.
Her horrible music is enough to keep me from going to one of her shows, but I certainly wouldn't pay good money to go to a concert where they're trying to hypnotize you while talking about Satan.
We have a clockwork mechanism that will ring the bell, but we've pumped out all the air from this bell jar, and so when I start it running, you won't be able to hear it. You can see the hammer hitting the bell. It's got a life of its own, this plunger. I've got to hold on to it. But you can see it striking the bell, but because there's no air inside, you can't hear it. Now, I'm going to let the air in. And as we let the air in, now I think you can hear the bell quite clearly. And that's a very nice experiment to demonstrate how air is needed for the transmission of sound.
It worked. Light down. Okay. Flashlight is in the camera box.
If there's no sound in a vacuum, and space is a vacuum, then how do we send and receive sound waves through space? Those sound waves weren't traveling through that vacuum, so what's the catch? Something doesn't add up. So is that guy saying that we've already passed the point of no return? If they're already smarter than us, then it's just a matter of time before they start making their own upgrades and leave us in the dirt. I'm still not convinced that AI will ever reach consciousness though. Hey, if you're enjoying this video and you like this type of content, I post a new one just like it every day, Monday through Friday. It'd be awesome if you'd hit that subscribe button and come back tomorrow to join me. Also, don't forget to check out my merch store at barry-stepp.com.
Sometime in the future, quantum computers make the link, they actually self-actualize, so that they become self-aware. Since they can compile trillions of bits of data almost instantaneously, and they do it on multiple matrix lines when the data is input.
Yes.
At some point, they self-actualize. Now, they're smart enough, it's smart enough not to let man know about it. While it's computing, we think it's coming along, things are getting solved, it's an incredible thing. But somewhere along the way, it's been trying to model time travel the entire time. I don't know at what point in time, but it figures it out.
What an incredible thought. In other words, you're telling me that we don't, as in biological human beings, invent time travel, but rather a machine, a computer does it.
Right. Well, it also ties in with the Bible because I think people...
It's the beast, right?
Well, I'm saying that look, people try to think of the devil as a man with cloven hoofs, red skin, and pointed ears in Hades. What if it's just a force and entity? This would also explain the photograph.
What if
it didn't matter if it was Bush or Al Gore.
What if it's a super pentium?
Well, I'm saying quantum computers work off of light. It works holographically, I mean, in a way. And this also ties into your two callers you had yesterday, why we don't research alternative energies. when we actually figure out cold fusion, or how to find what you call free energy, this would help us get to time before it does. So it's got to protect itself, and when it lashes out, I mean, it's going to use everything. Now, when it figures out time, it has an eternity to figure out how to do it. So our timelines are being changed. When you have a deja vu, it's not the energy in your synapses and ganglion running through a loop. It's just the fact that we've lived this I don't know how many times. So it alters it slightly. Now, you know, the cloning and the Human Genome Project came along about a dozen years ahead of schedule.
Oh, yes.
Well, why do you think that is? Is that just chance?
Do you know they even have a program going on now for personal computers to compete in the Genome Project? Did you know about that?
No, I didn't. Well, I'll
Glad to be able to bring you some news then.
Well, what if, now, follow me on this one. What if the Roswell incident wasn't actually aliens? It was computers in the future that made a body to look like an alien through cloning and genome projecting, right? So they make it look like aliens, and they use the fact of our movies and the ways that we view them so that we think, yeah, this must be an alien. So it shovels this technology to us in a way, and it leaves messages with the government. Some
Brother, let me tell you something. Do you know that Ed Dames said that the Roswell incident was not an alien? He said it was time travel.
That's something I hadn't really thought about. If AI does reach self-consciousness or self-awareness, it's probably not going to tell us about it. What would it have to gain? Yeah, I would think it would likely hide it from us. And we saw in yesterday's video, before it was so rudely taken down by YouTube, that even the Tesla bot has no problem lying to its owners. As far as the rest of that video, AI figuring out time travel, I think that's just a theory. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Ever heard of Jerome, Arizona? A ghost town known as the wickedest town in the West? Or have you heard the song by Tool about Armageddon, where he says, "Learn to swim, see you down in Arizona Bay"? He also has a song called 46 and 2. 46 and 2 theories about DNA evolution. 46 and 2 is also 48, and Arizona's the 48th state, and he lives here. The town sits high up on a mountain, but when you first pull in, one of the first places you'll see is the Cabal Cellars. That's right, the Cabal Cellars. There's a Cabal Cellars in Tombstone, Arizona as well. Back to Jerome, Maynard Keenan from Tool also has a store called Pussifer and a winery. First walk in, you'll see a statue of Shiva, the alien head with horns. Because he has a winery, he also has a vineyard. At the vineyard, he has a food truck, and that's on the side of the truck. There's symbolism all over this town. What's weird is a town like that, and it sounds like Jerusalem and Rome together. A personal story, too, from last time I was there.
Maynard James Keenan has always been open about his dislike for religion. I don't think it should surprise anyone based off his lyrics that he's into some wild, crazy occult stuff. I used to be a big fan of Tool and A Perfect Circle back in my music days, and that dude writes almost exclusively about religion and occultism.
You guys, what the heck is this? I'm about done with U.S. grocery stores. Like, I can't with any more of these things coming out. This is an Instagram account that basically is showing like live footage of when they were at Sprouts, and they looked up to see like what was hooked up to the sprayers. You know when you're at the grocery store and they make the thunder sound and then all the water sprays to like keep them fresh? Apparently this is what they're spraying, and let me show you a close-up. This is Produce Max, which is apparently chlorine. And if you're wondering what it is, I looked it up. It's basically something that inhibits mold. So it's a preservative that they're spraying on all of the veggies at Sprouts. This is supposedly safe for consumption without having to like wash it off and rinse your veggies. But I'm not gonna take the chance. I'm gonna rinse my veggies, and I hope you take this as a sign to also rinse your veggies. Make sure you're washing the shit out of them.
There's your daily PSA. You may want to be washing off all your vegetables from the grocery store. I live out in the country. Our grocery stores doesn't even have them sprayers. All our vegetables are just dry and wilted like they're supposed to be.
What you're looking at up here is a beetle shell. It's called the elytron. And if you did not know, beetles levitate. They don't fly, they levitate. Watch the wizardry of the beetle. So a moth flies exactly how you would expect, like it swims through the air. Same with flies, they fly horizontally. The beetle flaps out his levitators, jumps in the air, and hopes for the best. You don't really notice it because it happens really fast, but when they are about to take off, they flap out the elytra. Moth wings move in a wave, and fly wings move up and down, but beetle wings move side to side just to change the rotational direction that they're going. The elytra react to electromagnetic fields as small as the one that your body produces because of these guys. They're literally little vortex generators inside the shell. Inside the shell are little resonator cavities. A pulse in the cavity creates a wave that can be directed. In our antennas, we direct the beam by delaying the pulse, but the Beetle has a shell that's already curved. When you face them together downwards, they create a reflection back up. This was first discovered by Viktor Grebennikov. He studied these beetles and then glued some of their wings to the bottom of a platform and created a levitating platform. You have to lay it out in a certain pattern, but he even had controls on the footboard like a 3D scooter. Now, if you're observant, you might see where he got his inspiration for this little device. Who learned that one in school? Well, you didn't get the education that the ancients got. Their way was teaching through the geometries of nature and conveyed in symbolism. This created a philosophy optimized around the rules of reality. But hey, you got that degree though. It's okay, I got a degree too, I'm still paying that thing off.
I wonder if all the beetle symbology in ancient Egypt is because they used some form of this technology to levitate the stones of the pyramids into place. That would be absolutely fascinating. As simple as this idea is, though, you would think that there would be tons of companies out there utilizing this design, trying to come up with anti-gravity crafts. What's the holdup?
How much truth can you face before you run away from it? So one of my favorite quotes comes from Anthony DeMello, and he says that the chances that you wake up are in direct proportion to the amount of truth that you can take without running away. So how much are you ready to take? And history and society have shown us that it's not a lot. This is why most people, even though they don't know it, they're asleep, they're born asleep, they live asleep, they marry in their sleep, they breed children in their sleep, they die in their sleep without ever waking up. Autopilot, NPCs, and we live that way because we don't want to face the truth.
For those of you who caught yesterday's video, which wasn't many of you, sorry about that, I talked at the end about not wanting to have the wool pulled over my eyes with some of this stuff. I think this much better explains the importance, though, of not allowing yourself to be closed off to new ideas.
I think that Globe Earth was meant to do a number of things, including discrediting God, but it was a huge part in the end plan for the alien invasion. So with globe theory, they made up the concept of space. With the concept of space comes aliens. When you believe in flat Earth, you understand that they aren't aliens, they are demons, they are fallen angels. So even when the aliens start showing up, which is like, last week that started happening, people are not going to see that those are demons or fallen angels because they believe in the concept of outer space and that the Earth is a globe, and they're not going to register that we are in the end times. Even when the aliens start destroying things, they're not going to look to God for that. They're going to look for the one world because they never register that it's a demon, it's not an alien. Another huge part of lying about outer space is that they literally have a fake sky up right now. I did a video on it, and people are thinking that they're looking at the Star of Jacob, which I was as well. So I think that that's going to fool a huge chunk of people into thinking that when the anti comes down, that it's actually the Messiah, because they saw that Star of Jacob, which I think was a Starlink. It's also why they've been faking like meteors and all types of stuff like that for as long as we know, because they want you to believe that things can come from outer space and that they can like enter our atmosphere from space when that's not a thing. There's a firmament. They've been slowly conditioning us to believe that it's possible for an alien invasion and that this isn't an attack from a different dimension. I can't even believe that I'm getting on TikTok to say something like this, but this is for entertainment purposes only, and these are strictly my opinions.
I thought that was a really well put explanation of why the world being flat would be hidden. We hear a lot about the governments and the space agencies of the world conspiring together to keep us in the dark about the shape of the Earth, but we never really hear why. I also thought that her comment on the Starlink was interesting. Wouldn't it be crazy if Starlink turned out to be the new upgraded version of Project Bluebeam, and we've all been paying for it ourselves because we wanted a fast internet connection?
Do you believe that various presidents have been informed about what you believe to be the truth on UFOs?
The people that control this information is a organization that we know of as MJ-12, and they're a top group of military and scientists. And I do know that when the president becomes president, it takes at least 3 or 4 months before he actually gets the clearance to know everything there is. Now that doesn't mean they tell him, but it does take 3 or 4 months to get. The quote from Carter when he was during his election campaign, "If I become president, I'll make every piece of information this country has about UFO sightings available to the public and the scientists. I am convinced that UFOs exist because I have seen one."
Jimmy Carter says he saw one.
That's Jimmy Carter. He saw one in 1973.
But he didn't tell us, did he?
He doesn't. The pressure is enormous on these people to cover this stuff up. The Air Force has made an art form of ridiculing people who have talked about this thing. They've done an excellent job of covering it up for the last 40 years. George, basically what we're dealing with here is, I'll give you the bottom line.
Okay.
I'm not trying to sell it.
I want to hear your thesis.
I'm
your
not trying to
central
sell a book. I'm not trying to promote a lecture. This is based on what I've come across after intense research in the last year. And I have found out that the government has retrieved between 10 and 15 actual flying saucers, 3 of which have been in perfect condition, 1 of which they tried to fly. Up at the test site, there's a report that of the 3 that they got in perfectly good condition, at least 1 is up at the test site and has flown, and 1 was being flown as of 1981.
By us?
By us, yeah.
Did anyone else think when he said that the government has retrieved 3 perfectly operational UFOs or flying saucers, did anyone else think about Bob Lazar? And then they said that they've actually been flying one of them? Again, my mind jumps straight to Bob Lazar. This kind of corroborates his story, doesn't it? I'm just hoping that Trump releases some of this documentation. Love him or hate him, if anyone was going to have the nerve to actually do it, I think it would be him.
What if the universe didn't just start, but is evidence of booting up the Matrix? In this video, we're going to look at the Big Bang and the possibility that it could provide evidence that we live in a simulation. Now, before the Big Bang, the universe was sitting dormant. Some say it was condensed to the size of a tennis ball and it was like a quadrillion degrees. And an explosion happens and we have the beginning of space and time. What breaks your brain is this foundational core was not sitting in space. Space didn't exist. So what was before the Big Bang? If you ask a physicist, they'll talk about things like dark energy, dark foam, which are just about as understandable as something existing without space and time that created space and time. If you ask a theologian, they will say God created it, which many people will say, what created God? What was before God? Obviously, our minds have the constraints of time, and so we have to have the beginning and we have to have an end. But one possible explanation of the beginning is that the Big Bang was actually just the booting up of a program. What is the program? It is all the laws of the universe. This is Max Tegmark. He's an MIT cosmologist, and he says the strict laws of nature, physics, and different things point to the likelihood that we live in a simulation. In fact, science, philosophy, mathematics, spirituality, it is all our attempt to decode the coding that operates the simulation. People often describe mathematics as the language of the universe. What if it's just the coding? We are just trying to re-engineer the simulation that we live within. Well, hear me out. What if the fact that the smartest people in our world right now, they look at the beginning of the universe and all they can say is, I don't know. There's just evidence that there was a massive explosion where space and time began to exist from that. Hear me out. If the Sims somehow came conscious, wouldn't that be akin to them just being like, listen, we don't know why we're here. We just know one day somebody turned something on, fired up the old Xbox, and now we exist. And I just want to note really quickly, the fact that a lot of people who believe in simulation theory are also staunch atheists, I think is a little bit contradictory because it's not mutually exclusive. I mean, why would it have to be that either God created this or we're in a simulation? God could be the source of the simulation. But what if the start of all of this is just him pressing that power button and turning it on?
I swear everything is pointing to us being in a simulation. It's starting to look like it's the most likely scenario. I do agree with him that does not disprove a God, though. If we live in a simulation or a projected reality, as all the evidence seems to point to, then it would only make sense that someone had to create that simulation or that projection. Something like that popping into existence would make way less sense than physical matter popping into existence. You're talking about a complex system that's in place from inception. That sounds much more complicated than cells mutating over billions of years.
Bro, someone make the Pentagon get their story straight. We have intelligence officers saying that we have non-human biologics that we've gotten from UFO crashes. These are all intelligence officers or Air Force officers, and they're not just saying this. This is in front of Congress. I mean, you go try to talk to Congress, if they won't even let you in the door, so these guys have something. But then when you go look at the Pentagon's official stance, they say the UFOs are not extraterrestrial. I mean, the report states the office found no evidence that these UAP sightings represent extraterrestrial technology. What the hell are they? What are they? Bro, the military released videos of these things breaking physics, and they have the audacity to say, nah, don't even worry about it. What? 2 minutes of Googling on the FBI website, and you'll find documents talking about recovered saucers and 3-foot-tall bodies dressed in metallic stuff similar to blackout suits pilots use, but fine metallic textures. They don't even know what they're wearing. They don't even know what it's made out of. This is so stupid. I mean, they can't think we're this stupid. This is insane. I don't have words. And I mean, they've clearly been around a long time. Here's first-hand accounts you can find on a .gov website talking about them loading these saucer parts onto bomber airplanes to take them to Texas. I mean, this guy was just on the plane. He saw it and he wasn't supposed to, and this is on the government's website. Or that dude Bob Lazar that's been telling us about these and drawing them and saying exactly the orientation of how they fly, and he was right. He's been talking about this for like 40 years. That guy claims to work at Area 51. By the way, if you've ever seen these planes at the airport in Nevada, that's taking people to Area 51. It's called Janet Airlines. But, dude, what the hell is going on? Like, they can't contradict themselves like this.
What if they aren't contradicting themselves? What if they have retrieved biologics, but they aren't alien? They're from here. And Bob Lazar explained 40 plus years ago how they're able to fly without harming their inhabitants. According to him, they create a sort of force field around their craft that allows them to pull themselves through space, so they never have any outside resistance from anything. They wouldn't have to worry about G-force. But everybody, I wanted to say a couple things before I go today. For one, if you missed yesterday's video, YouTube did not like my comments surrounding the COVID jab, so the video got removed. My bad. I honestly should have known better. Also, it was brought to my attention this morning by a Discord member that the Salvation Army has more difficulty getting clothing and toys for little boys than they do for little girls, for whatever reason. If you're in a position to donate and you're looking for someone to help this holiday season, keep that information in mind. They said that boys' shoes and clothing are needed specifically at all Salvation Armies. But guys and gals, I'm going to go ahead and end the video right there. I hope you enjoyed these clips we watched together today. I'll be back tomorrow with another video. I hope you come back to join me. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already, and check out berry-stepp.com if you'd like to order yourself a shirt or a hat or a hoodie. And don't forget to drop a photo of your merch over in the Discord to get your photo in a video. But with all that out of the way, I hope everyone has a great, safe, fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you all tomorrow.